over the overview of what we're going to talk about. As we know, yesterday with the Fed meeting, they decided to hold rates the same. They said they'll likely only cut rates one time. And in real time, we talked about how bearish that is for not only risk assets, but for gold, silver, precious metals, commodities. And if there's one good thing about this is we can add another good story to our reputation and to our just our history of just proof of what we've accomplished here, as now we've been able to successfully call a buy-in in 21 when I started, and that was 5 years ago on the 24th of this month. And the beauty of it is I've been here every single day, so at least I've been able to try to guide the best I can. In 23 we bought the bottom. In 25 we sold the top of crypto, so that's a great reputation that we've built already. A lot of integrity that goes on here, no nonsense approach, and we just speak the truth regardless of how many people leave. With gold and silver, we called that bottom of the commodities, and prior to the breakout in 25 or 25, we sold the top end of 25, early 26, and now we've seen everything just overall collapse. Gold and silver, we were able to get into precious metals when it was cheap, and then we avoided buying them when they went up past certain levels, and now we watch for the breakdowns. So if there's one honest opinion or one honest thing I can tell you about what I do, I don't sugarcoat it. And we've been able to time the tops of markets, buy the bottom of markets, and get out before the top rotates back down. And now we can add the crypto or the precious metal sector along with the commodities to our reputation. And I'm very proud that we can do it in multiple markets. My viewership's down about 60% since I told everybody to sell their crypto about 9 months ago. That last warning in July, the first warning in January of last year. But you know what? To be honest, I'd rather take a 60% dive in viewership, but get people to stay from getting just exacerbated. Just their portfolio to be on life support. And I know a lot of people, as we know, 86.6% of all XRP tokens circulating are in a loss. So I take my job very seriously here. I take what I do very seriously. I take your portfolios very seriously. And I'm not too afraid of people just leaving, because I know when we get back into the bullish time, people will come back. Does it hurt a little bit, some of the negativity I receive and some of the personal attacks I get daily through the email and people messaging me and things? Sure, it does. But I'm very thick-skinned, and I just want everybody to know that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the gaslighting that can go on through influencers, because I am an influencer at the end of the day. I may conduct myself in a completely different way, but it does hurt my reputation when others are lying. So the one promise I can make you is we can call the tops, and we know when the bottoms are in. We know everything in between. I don't know everything, which means I know everything. Good morning. 11:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, March 19th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I don't have the comments on as of right now. I'm not looking at them. Couldn't care less. Not that I don't care about all of you, but sometimes I can't be judged based on what I'm saying in the moment. I don't want to know how many people are in here. As of right now, I'll check it in a little bit. But I wanted to put out a unified message of, if you put faith in me, it won't even cost you a red cent unless you want to pay it forward, send super chats, join my live classes that you can watch even after, and help me advance what I do. You can watch this for free every single day, and you know I'm going to be here. It's about 5 years straight without even taking one single day off. I've put out almost 7,000 videos in 5 years. So I've done my duty, but it hasn't done yet. We're nowhere near being done. We're trying to build up together so that we can stay away from this time of inflation and try not to be part of the middle class that goes into the lower levels. And we're trying to stay up with the times, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of work on my end. It takes a lot of work on your end. We have to be diligent together, and there's one rule in here, and the only rule is positivity over negativity. You're going to help your fellow man and woman that are in the comments, that are in this community. You're going to back me in a positive way. You can be constructively criticizing me if you want, but we need to stay in a foremost direction. So yesterday, if you caught it during the Fed meeting, I went into the silver chart and I know it's getting hammered. And I talked about the displacement zone because a lot were asking me when to buy, and I said, do not buy right now. We still got to come down to displacement, and that strong displacement is somewhere between 61 and 55, and it can come much lower than that because I could show you another displacement that happens lower if we can't hold that section. And then we're going to get into crypto. I don't have a lot of time for silver and gold today because of what's going on, but I can honestly tell you we've got two areas of displacement right now. Remember when I said don't buy over $30 if you're holding precious metals? There's a reason why. We talked about it with gold. Don't buy over 2,000. Well, I mean, you could. But obviously, with this big drop, you're going to have more displacement back to the top side, and it's going to have to tap it. I believe we're going to probably tap those lower levels. But that's neither here nor there. A lot of people will leave once I start talking about gold and silver, and we can't afford to have people leave today. My wish would be that there would be hundreds of people in here, but the truth and the reality is they only come in here once we're in a very bullish run, and then they all leave when I start talking about it's time to sell and things like that. But if you listen to what I'm saying, you would have saved yourself a 60% drop. You would be able to take profits in every bull market after buying the bear markets. And my history speaks for itself. There's not one other person you're going to be able to point to and have the same history I do, especially a crypto influencer, because they don't know anything about precious metals. I even called out Peter Schiff for lying to his audience. He knows the difference when it goes to a top and saying that it can't go down from here. Well, I have news for you. We called the top at about 118, and now it's all the way down to 69. And the even more impressive thing is we had the displacement zone. Once it came back up here, it would reject and come back down unless we broke 99. Came right up the displacement zone, and now we've just fallen off a cliff. So the history speaks for itself. It's up for you to marginalize me in a way or solidify what I do and not compare me to other people. And it's up to you to recognize the other influencers that aren't on the same page as I am, that they don't have your best interest at heart. Maybe it's not even their fault. They just don't understand things as deeply as we do here. So that's the one guarantee I can give you. You're going to be so far out ahead that it's going to make you scared because you're going to see what everybody else is saying. And we're going to be so on point with this information that it's going to be a very difficult job for you to do. And I understand that more than anybody. As you're going and watching other people. That's why I simply say, if they're not talking about what we're talking about, there's no reason to watch. And that's not because I know everything. It's because I know what's going on from a charting perspective, from the dark pools, there's just high frequency traders that nobody ever talks about with the supercomputers and offsite locations and how 70% of the volume is not real and things like that. Unless these people understand this, they can't just come on and say it's going to 1,000 or 10,000. It's that simple. The moment that you hear somebody say XRP is going to 1,000, you might as well just turn it off. Let's just turn it off. We haven't hit $4. Let's not talk about that nonsense because that's where they gaslight retail, and that's how we become exit liquidity. And my HODL terminology, as I shared with the class, hold on displacement latency. So you're going to be holding during the displacement and all the way back down. And that's where the rich people, that's where the algorithms, that's where the supercomputers pick us off. Don't be that person. If you bought at 14 cents, that's great. But wouldn't you have liked to have bought at 14 cents and sold at $3.70? And even if you wanted to buy now, you could have at least saved all of that money, $2.30 a token. Imagine all that extra capital. So I don't care where you bought. Our job is to be buying in bear markets, selling in bull markets. And if we fail to do that, we're not winning. You're an investor. You're an investor. You're not funding this project. Remember that. We're not here to fund XRP, just like XRP's not here to do us any favors. That's all there is to it. So the faster we can understand and utilize what we have in front of us, the more opportunity we're going to get. So what I'm looking at today, and that's a very strong message. You take that for what it's worth, but I'm telling you, that's the way you have to approach risk assets. Otherwise, you're going to get left in the dust. Right now, we're looking for a tap at $1.39.8. Maybe it drags down here to the back end of this at $1.37. But if we can hold this, this is our next opportunity up. If it breaks down from here, then all of a sudden you open the door to a much farther drop. And that 86.6 cents is still on the table. We got another confirmation of a rejection point at that descending triangle. And I'm not saying this to scare everybody, okay? We're not saying this to scare anybody. It's, in fact, the opposite reason I say all of this. I want you to be in control of your domain. I want you to be in control of your portfolio. And I don't want anybody in my audience to have to lose 65%. Because remember, if we're losing in investing, now we got to sell more of our time to the man, so to say, go to work and work longer hours just to get back to a place we were at. Wouldn't you rather not do that? Wouldn't you rather be in control so that you don't have to say, oh, I just buy everywhere. It doesn't matter about the technicals, yada, yada. That's gaslighting. Anybody who makes you believe that technicals and the charts aren't important, they're wrong. And if you have any faith in what I do, please have faith in what I'm saying right now. I don't come in here every single day just for me. I could do this by myself and never do a YouTube video. When I started this channel, it was for historical data and to tell people what was happening because I was so sick and tired of watching YouTube when we were in a bullish moment and they're acting like it can just go to infinity, not telling you the risk after it gets up to where it's going and how to most capitalize on. I want you to be able to take $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a week if we have the ability and put that into your pocket. You know, we had a decent week last week, but you would have had to sell out before the bottom fell out this week. You know, that's just the bottom line. So now we're looking for our next opportunity. Where does the next opportunity come from without getting so afraid in the moment? Because I can tell you right now, a lot of people are panicking and there's no reason to panic. There is no reason to panic because we know the overall outlook of what's going on in the market. And that's why we're going to start from the outward, even though we showed the inward. And we're just going to show this. And I'm going to make sure that everybody represents XRP's chart. There's nothing that makes me more irritated than this talk. XRP's a pile of shit. It doesn't matter. It follows Bitcoin. You don't have to watch the charts because Bitcoin's... Okay, well, if you only watch Bitcoin, how do you know your entries on everything else? It's great, but that would be like saying, I don't need to watch the individual commodity stock or the gold and silver and platinum miner. I just need to watch the gold, silver, and platinum. It doesn't do you any good. You don't know the entry or sell levels. At some point, most of you are going to have to realize, I do this in every market. Is it any surprise that I got the bottom of commodities and sold the top of commodities? Or bought gold and silver when silver was at $17, $16 with this group all the way to 27? And then gold when it was at 1600 to right around 2000 and said to stop? Is it any surprise that we were able to do that? No. It's because we understand what we're looking at. We understand the variables at play. And yesterday, we got a hawkish Fed. Only one rate cut. All this nonsense. Blah, blah, blah. And Jerome Powell's got one more meeting, so don't expect too much. And when you're hawkish, it's bearish for precious metals. It's bearish for risk assets. We don't have to lie about it. I've seen a lot of people saying the Fed meeting was good because it stayed the same. What kind of crack are they smoking? What planet are they living on? So my job is to be very direct with you today. Am I coming in with fire? Maybe. No swearing. I'm not yelling at you. I'm talking with you. We're having a conversation here. I don't know how many people are going to stay. 90% of the people may leave today. And you know what? I don't have the ability to control what everybody does. All I have is the ability to control what everybody sees when they're in here. And I'm not here to gain viewers. I'm here to gain friends. I'm here to gain acquaintances. I'm here to gain other people that want to get ahead in these markets. Other than that, I really don't care. I used to be so hard on myself because people were leaving. I'm not going to be hard on myself anymore. I'm just going to be that person who you can come in and trust, and we're going to do this properly. And if you want to make fun of me, if you want to call me rude names, you know what? What'd they say? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I'm rubber, you're glue, what bounces off me and sticks to you. The old adage from when we were kids. That's where we're going to go with all of this. So right now, massive cup coming all the way back to 2018. Broke up from 16 and 17 up. Made the first rounding. We made the hump in 2021, which was very critical to help us with a all-time formation. Came around and did the W, big W formation. Now we're creating that descending wedge. And like I've said since the beginning, it's in our best interest to come down and tap it a third time, whether or not we go up from here first and then come back down, or we can invalidate the structure. I highly doubt we can invalidate the whole structure. We've had a bearish cross in the 20, crossing the 50. And now as of today, it's crossing, it looks like the 100 possibly in this weekly. And it makes sense to tap again at 86.4 cents. That's the descending triangle breakdown target. Our initial move out, as long as it happens sometime in June. Now, if it comes out here into August at the apex, yeah, then the target's going to be a little bit lower because it can get into the mid 50s, which would put us around $3. Big deal. But the all-time pattern that unless this is invalidated, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Trust yourself. Trust me. Have a little faith in what we do here. There's a reason I've been here 5 years straight and I haven't taken a day off. That builds credibility with me for all of you. You know, to put it in perspective, for about 1,800 days I've been working without a day off, if that puts it in perspective. And there's not a single moment on the macro that we've been wrong. And the micro, sure, there's moments of time that I'd like to have back in the past because I wasn't as on point and I wasn't as direct. No, that doesn't happen anymore. 2026 is something different. I literally let it all go and said, you give the information, you don't worry about the backlash, and if people really want to be rude when you're giving the truth, that's not my fault. That's not on me, and I can't control everybody's human emotion. So the daily time frame looks horrible. It's in our best interest to come down here and finish this off. It really is. And if we don't finish this now, it's just going to cause even more problems for retail. But the promise I can give you is the opportunity we've been having in swing trading has been phenomenal. We've been able to make 7 to 10% like a day or two, 3 separate times in the last 3 weeks, but we had to get out that point. Otherwise, you eat it, right? You eat it. And that's not what we're here for. We're not trying to eat it. We're trying to eat. We're trying to be the plankton. We're trying to be the leeches, watching the market makers, watching the institutional investors, watching the central bank's actions. We want to be the ant on the elephant's back. We want to be carrying with the whales. We're not trying to go against what the central banks and everybody else is doing. We're trying to find some kind of footing so we're not collateral damage. And retail at a 9. So do you want to, here's the bottom line. Do you want to be part of the 95% who's collateral damage in retail? Or do you want to be part of the 5% that actually makes money? That's all there is to it. You have to ask yourself that. There's 72 people here, which I appreciate, but as you can see, viewership is going down day by day the more bearish we get. But the ones who stay around, I promise you, it's going to be life-changing. It has been in every single section. It's been every single season. But you have to have some dedication. Zalim, welcome in, and thanks for that $4.99 super chat. I really appreciate that. And then Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Nick, I'm so proud to see you in here, my friend. Morning to you, my friend. Thanks for being a very trusted mod with Crypto Cruder Elmer. MQ's in here as well. I'm loving it. MQ, I've been doing a little bit in the futures as well. I just don't talk about it. That's what I've been using BITUNIX for. Just make sure if you guys are on that page with BITUNIX that you're claiming your income when you make it and things like that as you send it to a tier 1 exchange so you pay your taxes and don't get roped. But yeah, it's been a pretty nice couple of weeks in that regard as well. I just don't talk about it. I've been very much enjoying you and Nick, MQ, Furby Trades, and the Telegram. Nick's been on point. MQ's been on point, especially with this short he gave everybody. And it's been a nice unified message we have here. So if you guys want to know more about BITUNIX, it's in the video description below and or pinned comments. It's no KYC worldwide and things like that. But I would prefer for you guys also to look at taking the classes and things like that because they're unbelievably helpful. So today, what are we looking for? Well, we've had quite the drop here. 4 hourly's massively oversold here. It's getting to that point where at some point we're going to have some kind of return rally. We still have a golden cross, but we broke down below the 200-day. We had come all the way down to $1.42. I would like to see us back test this pattern breakout, if I'm being honest, because I think that could be an entry point for a push back up if we hold that area. And it's been a nice little thing here. So what my strategy's been lately is I've been trading XRP through the futures and I've been buying XDC through the spot with the opportunities, and it's been very successful. And you guys know I have to build up like 20 to 25,000 just in case insurance doesn't cover my house. And at least this week I was able to add 3,000 to that fund, and I took it off the crypto exchange, sent it into the old savings for this. So I've got to work harder than I've ever worked before. There's a lot of stress I'm dealing with, and I'm trying to evolve my strategies in a way that helps me out. MQ's been doing a phenomenal job with that kind of stuff. But I'm going to continue to be very, very persistent. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I know we're helping a lot more than are hurting right now. So we got to try to do this together. That's the bottom line. We got to try to do this together. And if we don't, we're going to get caught up in this. And I don't want to get caught up in this. I want to do what we need to do to succeed. So what I'm seeing here, like I said, I see a back test possibly at this $1.40 level. Now, can it hold that level is the question. That's the question. And the honest truth is I don't know. From what I'm seeing in the daily time frame, there should be some kind of bounce back at some point. But we could very well roll right through this level if we don't get the proper support. And then if we roll through here, what we'd be looking at. Let's get into the proper chart in case we did break a little lower. We know we're in that bearish liquidity sweep zone. And right now we're still on the top side of it, which is good. If we come down, this uptrend is still around $1.40. So that's a little confluency there, which makes me happy. I'm happy that that right shoulder so far is playing out as a right shoulder. And we weren't able to invalidate it. Looks like an extended pattern, which it is. But I'm still not willing to say that that's not a right shoulder. Now, I do see a head, a shoulder, head, shoulder here in the daily. So you had a very clear shoulder, head, and then a shoulder here, breakdown, reversal, bearish doji, whatever you want to call it. One of the things that I'm very interested in as well is this pattern. And as of right now, we're trying to bounce off of this. And this was in the futures where it created like a symmetrical triangle. If it doesn't hold that, coming back to the uptrend, because it's not 70% of the move. We should have come out to here in the end of March. So if we do have to come back to the uptrend, it seems to make sense with the alignment of coming back to that, not $1.40, but it would come back to $1.34 then. And then ultimately it could be worse. The daily's pushing down pretty hard. So we're seeing a lot of confluency in that. We're seeing a lot of confluency in that. So I really, what did Go Girl say? I really appreciate your persistence and appreciate you sharing your research and knowledge. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Goes beyond me though. There's a lot of people in here that actually help with that too. We've got a lot of help from MQ and Furby Trades, which is Nick and Scotty Trades if you're trying to remember from before. So we do have a lot of help. We do have a lot of help. I have a lot of help. MQ's made me look at futures in a whole new way as well. And I'm looking to be more involved on his section so that we can get a more unified message across to where he's talking, I'm talking. And that's my goal going forward, is to try to help more with the leverage side of things within the Telegram. Maybe not so much on the show. I'll give you little hints here and there. But my job here is for the spot positioning. And I don't want to go outside of myself as far as that message. But inside the Telegram, I'm going to try to help MQ push some of these messages across. I'm going to try to help Nick, Furby Trades, when it comes to his details as well. But MQ, I've been very much impressed with what you've been doing. And you've earned my, not only respect you've earned before, but you've earned my good faith now where I trust what you're saying. And that's not to say I didn't trust you before. But like I always talk about my evidence, your evidence speaks for itself. Nick speaks for itself. So there's no two people I trust more in this space than those two, hands down. If they had their own channel, I'd be watching every day. So, you know, I may know a lot, but I also know nothing. So if you're in my category, it's the way it goes. So thank you all so much for helping me unify this community. That's the number one message. And having 70, 80 people in here during these times means a lot to me as well, because it means we have enough people here that are willing to take a shot at their own future and try not to get caught up in the rest. So Bitcoin right now, it's important to show this chart. We have this, what I would consider, I don't know if I would call this a descending formation in short term. Almost feels symmetrical-ish, but we do have a little bit of a descending nature. So the first area for Bitcoin to have to try to hold is right around the 68,500 where it's tapped. And then if it falls through that, then all of a sudden we can find something a little bit deeper. I like looking at this with the descending nature, but also if we come across here and we try to say, okay, well, what if it does break down? What if it does come back within this pattern setup? You know, maybe it could come back down. Here, let's get rid of this. It could come back down a little bit deeper. And if it falls through, maybe it is down here at 56K. And that's been an area, if we look at the other Bitcoin chart, because we do need to know this. We never back tested, and this is my big thing. This cup and handle, and this might be how we get to 86 cents right away. That cup and handle out of Bitcoin. And yeah, let me get rid of some of this noise. because at the end of the day, this is a lot of noise here too with these little areas that I call them displacement, but you don't have to. They're untapped liquidity zones. It's just, it works for me with my terminology. And, there's a lot that I cover here. So I have to have many different charts, many different features, and I've been trying to do a better job at evolving these so you guys can see these as well. Oh yeah, I didn't, I don't know how many people have actually know about that. I'm actually in process to start a certification class to be a CFA. I was supposed to discuss it this week. I'm going to do it online, but my son, as he was sick, I didn't get a chance to have that phone call. I have all their information for where I'm going to go through, but my goal next, it's about a 4 to 6 month course, but I want to become a certified financial advisor, a CFA, to give myself a little more credibility, to learn a little bit more of the tricks of the trade. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to get another job, but I'd be able to do one-on-one consultations and things like that. So I would be able to boost my profit margin. And that just means that I would be able to advance my self-employment. But like MQ says, there's nothing wrong with a 3 to 5x futures trade. What gives it a bad name is people that do 25, 35, 50x, putting in too much money. There's nothing wrong with taking $3,000, doing a 5x trade and having a $500 risk. But you have to have the right window. Now if you take $3,000 and you got a 50x trade, well, you're not doing it right. I'm sorry, but you're not doing it right. That's the kind of thing. So I'm trying to advance myself, not just for me, but for this entire community so I can have more credibility. And I know I have a lot of credibility, but from the outside, if I was a licensed CFA or certified, I think that more people would be like, okay, he is a financial advisor. He's just doing it on his own. And that's my goal. 2 hourly were massively oversold. So I think MQ could relate to this as well. I would almost dare to say with this big rise up. Now, I don't know where we would come through, but what I'm seeing here is we've got an area up over the top. If we come back, I would say this is a strong area. If I measure this up, let me do it properly real quick. I don't want to give you bullshit. I would say probably in this lineup, if we don't break down, MQ, what do you think? Do you think this would be, I'm going to call it displacement, but this is kind of like an unfilled gap that would probably have been created. I would think, much like when we had the H-bar chart out, and I'll show you just a small example. When it came down, we said the push up would be into, and I called it displacement. And right when it came into here, that was our short signal if you were going to take it, as long as it didn't go over that box. And it did not, and then it ended up breaking down. So we're trying to get little hints here of what's coming in the market. So it's in your best interest to try to take advantage of this information in a way that you see fit and not get scared and run away. Because at the end of the day, I still think that Bitcoin is going to more than likely come down to 59K. I think we're going to fill out this cup and handle properly. Actually, it could be as low as 52K, depending on when we hit it. But if we do it in a reasonable, actually, it's a little bit lower than 59. 56 if we do it by the end of March, which I don't know if it's going to happen that quick. Crypto Cooter says the golden ticket to futures is being able to set a stop loss in volatile times while you are actively busy or sleeping. This is my opinion. And also one of the golden tickets is moving your stuff up into profit. So let's say you buy it at 75 cents something and it's up at 81 and you're like, well, I kind of want to ride this out, but I don't want to risk going back out of profit. Well, you can also scale out a little bit to take your initial buyback in because you've had such a big increase. But you also need to, this is why I put this in here. If anybody's wondering, this area, this is supposed to be a little bit higher, but this was a little bit of displacement that I seen here. But yeah, there is absolutely an FVG somewhere around. Oh yeah, I did. I put it up to 59. That's what this was for. The FVG, who said that? Nick. I put that up there because of the FVG, and I talked about, I started it at 59, but I also think there's a little displacement here where we never retapped. So that's why I have it stretching 17% down to almost 50K. But yeah, 59K is that FVG area. Absolutely on point. Absolutely on point. So, but yeah, so there's many ways we can attack this market. Is it scary? Absolutely. But the more information we have and the more we can do this together, I think you're going to get a unique experience here. You're never going to get me to sugarcoat it. You know, I'm not interested in gaining bad viewers. I don't care about that. I care about getting the right viewers. XRP Bitcoin pairing. We've determined underneath here that we've got a bit of an area that we probably need to tap into if it comes back down. Oversold in the daily. I would prefer for the XRP Bitcoin chart to come all the way back down into this area at the 0.00001654. We would have to invalidate this zone as well, but I'm all for watching to see how it gets invalidated. We've never filled out here, and this is a part that is a little scary to me. When you start to get down into this zone, like we've never come down here ever after this wick. So I don't believe that it's going to go completely untapped. And in fact, I think we could find ourselves at a almost historical low if this played out properly compared to Bitcoin. Because I see very much a topping formation there as well. Symmetrical a descending triangle looks pretty well built. And I had it set like this, but with the new evidence, I think it's pretty clear, guys, that we have a symmetrical triangle here. A descending triangle, which is very bearish. And once that breaks down, I think it could bring us down to that lower level. You've had the flat support, flat support, flat support, downtrending resistance with the lower highs. And you can even go farther back if you want to take this from a farther strategy. And I think if you look at it, it's pretty damn clear that we've had lower highs and stable flat lows. The reason I come out here is because this is where it all started, really. That's where it really started to make that noise. So I think we're getting evidence here that we're topping pretty good. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, MQ. That $1.44, maybe up to $1.46 possibly. And then I may reload up. I don't know. I want to see how this 4 hourly goes. I already had a great trade as it is on the way up. Had my mind on other things, so I didn't take out a short this time around past what I thought it could hit. That's another part of my game that's changing a little bit, is being able to ride the top to the bottom. But I'm doing it in different ways. Only certain tokens are meant for shorts and longs in the futures, and there's only certain tokens I'm willing to take spot right now. And I've been having a lot of success on doing XDC. So not scaling the long to get there, just don't. Yep. I like that. I like that, MQ. I like that a lot. I know I had some questions about XLM that I'd like to tap into, and I know it's not going to be everybody's forte, but I think it's the right thing to do. As in this community, XLM is more popular. Not by me. I love XLM a lot, but I'm more interested in XDC as well, but I like all three. XRP, XLM, and XDC. We came up again. I seen this as a little bit of a displacement zone. It tapped it, and then that was our key to short it. I remember we talked about it in the group before. And then it's like, well, where do you short it to? Well, to me, if we continue to move down, we're going to have to get some confluency here. It really does point down to this 15-cent area. So we'll see how it works. The 4 hourly is pretty oversold, so that's why you could get some rotation back up. But I'm not expecting too big of a reversal. That looks like a big topping reversal, which means the pattern should reset back into this area, if not lower. So I just want to let the chart work for us. I want to let these work for us. Oh, there's breaking news now. What is this? Trump on $200 billion for military. We're being very judicious. Sure. Anyhow, what was some of the news that I wanted to talk about as well? I tried to share it on Facebook. Getting back into that 80 to 100,000 views a day on Facebook. And it's just increasing every day. So, but we have, I don't want to talk about that. We have Grayscale came out yesterday. They labeled XRP battle tested, a currency powerhouse. Their words, not mine. The heavyweights are speaking up. Grayscale head of research, Ryani Sharif Askari, dropped some massive insights on XRP as it's sending ripples to the financial world. Grayscale isn't just looking at XRP as another token. They've officially categorized it in the currency sector. So they're actually very much saying it's battle tested. They noted the potential with the XRP ETF and things like that. Another piece of news that dropped yesterday is that we ended the casino era basically, as the SEC. There was just a lot of stuff with the Treasury. There was an S4 filing, and XRP was part of this, so that was a big thing. But the biggest thing that came about yesterday that you could have read on my Facebook page um, is the fact that XRP with the Clariac momentum, but they've officially labeled, or it was formerly classified as XRP as a digital commodity. So that's a big thing. I don't much care about the Clarity Act because I think it's not good for crypto. But there's just a lot of stuff. Brazil, we had some big news, and the biggest news so far, I think, is Ripple moves to the Ethereum L2s. So the XRP Ledger versus Ethereum debate just took a massive hit because Ripple isn't choosing sides, which a lot of people think is bad. But why not capitalize on the Ethereum blockchain as well as the XRP Ledger? Why not take all of that liquidity? So don't look at this as a bad thing. They're not. Ripple's basically not staying in their lane now. They're trying to capitalize on both Ethereum's ecosystem and their own ecosystem. So this is actually a good thing. So if you want to read more into this, please read more into it. It's gone pretty viral on a lot of this stuff. I'm getting way more views on Facebook than I could ever get on YouTube. But they work hand in hand. So almost 15,000 followers there now in a couple of months, which is crazy actually. So I'm trying to do this in a way. Go Girl says, I had 70,000 scammed from me by stolen Valor veterans, so I am trying to make it back through crypto, trading, options, working overtime as much as possible. I need to learn trading versus hodl. Absolutely. I'm so sorry you've experienced that. I'm so sorry you experienced that. A stolen Valor veteran, so that is so shameful. I'm sorry about that, love. That saddens me, honestly. Hopefully, I can help you move in the right direction and I can get you the information here. I'm going to put out here for you and anybody else for a couple of minutes. And I don't care about, we'll work on the scammers. So make sure you read through the warnings that I put out here for new members and things like that. Make sure you accept the prompt that you're going to get. It explains everything you may deal with people that are trying to scam the community. But I think this can help you with what you're talking about. We have a lot of help in here. That's my Telegram. And I'm going to share that for you guys. I'll take it off in a minute. But for you, Go Girl, make sure you follow. Not only, I encourage you to follow because this will give you my content as it comes out. But what I encourage you to do is go into here and go into the Technical Lounge with Nick. He's Furby Trades in here. And then if you're looking at the future side, you can look at both. But in real time, a lot of times you'll have MQ right here. He talks about the shorts. We can really, and I will be more involved in this because I'm going to start taking these shorts with MQ as well. And we'll talk back and forth and have debates going forward. And we'll just do this together. But this will really help you if you're looking at the future side of it. And I promise you, this will help you get into a group where you're with people that are in the same fundamentals. And he even put down this perfectly, talk about the supply and everything. He had this perfectly traded out for everybody. It was in here for days. He talked about the levels, the target. So this will help you a lot, Go Girl. So please, I encourage you and anybody else in here, join the Telegram. We've got 521 members now. I'm trying to make this more open to the community of the people who need it. When I see people who are desperate in that way, who need the information, I try to share this more often in a quick way. So in about a minute, I'm going to take that down to keep away the scammers and things like that. But for now, I'm going to keep it open, and I encourage you guys to join and to take advantage of this. It's free. If you want to pay it forward, you guys can always join Tom's Army to pay it forward. But this is just a way for us to get our community going in the right direction. Aurelie, welcome and love. I'm so blessed to see you in here as well. JBHK, thank you so much for that endorsement. Said this is the only channel for you. And JBHK is a very trusted mod. I've been in here since day one, basically. Since my early days when I had no subscribers. Let's see. Garbanzo, thanks for 6+ months as well. MQ's been in town only 3+ months. Mr. Stott and Mrs. Stott, 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Mr. Stott, I can help you with Quant. I watch Quant all the time. My expectation here for Quant, we had a nice little push out, but we've never back tested this area. So at some point, I still feel like we're going to see that $61. Could it get worse? It could. But I still feel like we need to back test that area in a very real way. We've got a nice area of support that is starting to build, although this is not the way it's supposed to be. Hold on. The flat support is, but this, I had one like this, but with the update, it's not there anymore. We have this kind of a setup in the short term as well. So we have a nice little possible cup that is trying to build as we came up. But I will say there's a lot of areas underneath here, Mr. Stott, that makes me a little nervous that we never tapped. All of this. I get real strong displacement feelings or gap, gap setups in this way. Chris, welcome in and thanks for being in town zone for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Yeah, Relly, you should definitely join. I mean, I'm not talking about joining Tom's Army or Relly. I'm talking about join our Telegram so that you can be more involved in there. We would love to have you in there. You're such a great person. You have such a kind heart and a great personality that we would love to have you in there. I would love to have you in there. It could have flipped support short term, but really we're going to need to hit this top area at 69 bucks to make sure. But we'll see. We'll see. That daily time frame speaking volumes right now. I mean the 4 hourly speaking volumes on the little reversal. The daily significantly overbought. And right now it's not a spinning top, it's still an inverted hammer, but we'll see what it turns into later on. Volume was increasing. So yeah. Yeah, not a membership. It's for free. No membership involved here, guys. That Telegram I just shared, there's nothing that you have to pay. You just click on that link and it'll take you right there. This is what it'll do. All you have to do is click on this and it'll take you right to the Telegram. You don't have to pay anything, nothing like that. I'm offering this. So make sure you guys click on it. I'll wait a little bit longer. There's no payment needed. I was just saying if you want to pay it forward later, you can. Right now, the Telegram needs to be more wide open, but make sure you read the rules and notes so that you don't get caught up with some kind of scammer that'll take advantage of me offering that right now. I know, Mr. Stott, we talked about Teo, and I just said don't do anything crazy because we have that flat resistance. And now this could be an ascending triangle as you have the highs are flat and you have higher lows. So higher lows, stable resistance, and the stable highs. Higher lows makes that ascending triangle. We probably need some validation if it is, and that would be right around that $200 mark. So let's see how that happens. Let's see how that happens. So, and what other thing on this page? Oh yeah, we've been talking about TX, how it's not the time to buy, because we don't know what's underneath, how low it's going to go. So we're going to continue to watch that, and if anybody doesn't know, Sologenic and Corium merged together. And this needed to take a big dump. It just had to. We talked about before it had to hit this displacement zone, and it did and got rejected. Isn't it amazing how it hits those displacements perfectly? Sometimes right into it, but all those are, you can call them gaps, displacement, whatever you want to call it. Wow, what is this? Joseph Euler. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, and also a gifted sub. Those truly do help my cause when people do gift it, because more people become involved. And that gives Brad Jones, now he's back in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Euler. I really appreciate that. You're so super generous and kind. Elmer J. Fudd says, setting up and selling water bills might be a good way to make some money. That is actually interesting. It's not 100% complete. Correct, Zalim. I'm glad you said that. I should have emphasized it. It's not 100% complete. There's still some movement happening, but that's the speculation that it's going to be 100% merger when it's all said and done. I appreciate that back-end information from you, my friend. I really, really do. I say, Chucks, I've been warning that it's not the time. In time, I'm going to buy this back, but my goal is to buy it at 0019. I know it sounded crazy a long time ago. Does it sound so crazy now? Starting to think not so much. Obviously, it's got to finish this pattern breakdown. You okay, Julie? I heard her coughing. So yeah, this is the pattern. Maybe that is a descending wedge and it won't come all the way down there. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. Thanks, Zalim. I really appreciate that. BDMD, I've talked about how I know it had that big breakout, but we can't know anything until it comes back down, likely to that $1.15. It doesn't matter how fast it moves up. It matters where you catch it from, and we never had this true back test, and that's that medical company. There's just a lot of stuff we're watching here. MicroStrategy, if you're new, they're the world's largest holder of Bitcoin, and we discovered a Ponzi with Jane Street. So basically, Jane Street was buying up a bunch of MicroStrategy to higher their valuation, and MicroStrategy took their high valuation to buy Bitcoin, and that's how that entire bull run happened. So there's a lot of controversy there. Bitmine is the world's largest holder or entity holder of Ethereum. LAES is a semiconductor company, and we're trying to wait this out to come. First area was 304, but I'm not convinced it doesn't come lower. I'm really not. I think we put in a nice, and this is just my interpretation, nobody else's, because we try to watch this in a grand scale. I would like to have 10 to 20 to 30,000 or shares of this when it gets to the right spot, and just let it ride long term. Which 10,000 tokens would be, or not 10,000 tokens, not at this price. It would have to come lower. Actually, no, it can't even be that much. I'm thinking 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000. My mistake. But the head and shoulders, I think it's pretty clear right now. You have a shoulder. So basically it comes up from here, forms a left shoulder, comes back down perfectly, creates a head, comes back down perfectly, creates a shoulder. And then how does it work out? Well, basically we're in this kind of a function right now, but it's showing a shoulder, head, shoulder. It showed you the breakdown area, and I think it's pretty perfectly assimilated. Now, over the top, you actually had a topping reversal, but now in the consolidation, it looks like a shoulder, head, shoulder. So, anyhow, let's see. What else can we talk about? We've been here 46 minutes. Still got some time left. Let's get back to XRP because we've been all over the place. Tesla on sale right now. Their price over earnings is out of control, though. So I don't necessarily look at it as on sale, if I'm being honest. I've drawn this out in so many ways with Tesla where I don't think it's on sale until it gets down to this area below. But we'll talk about this. I'll get some of this out of the way. I think the price over earnings is way out of whack right now, if I'm being honest. So I have a different take on Tesla than everybody else. I think we're being sugar-coated, and a lot of people are going to get their nuts dried in. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the first swearing type that I did, and that's not even too bad. What, we're breaking nuts for the squirrels, right? It's my nutcracker. Let me show you what I'm looking at, Mr. Stott, here. I like the way we're going, though, today. We're very helpful. I'm going to take off this, though. Hopefully everybody got their stuff, because I don't want to keep this out here for the scammers to get us. So if I got to put this back out in the next live, I will. But whoops. I'm trying to protect this community the best I can. Okay, there we go. So what I'm looking at here for Tesla, for you, Mr. Stott, while we have time, and then I'm going to go back into XRP so we can, I know, me neither. That's why I've been looking at Tesla so closely when I never used to. I bought it back in the day and had a nice run back in 2020 and before some nice splits. I've got those robots on my mind too, if I'm being honest. But I also know it comes at a cost here. Someone's got to flip their bill, and what better way than have retail trapped in? But to me, that looks like a rising wedge. You know, it looks like a rising wedge. Just my personal feeling of what I'm seeing here. It's why I drew it out the way I did with all those lines, but obviously it can be confusing, so I'm going to fix it now. Whoops. And then it looks like we formed a rising wedge here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's a rising wedge if I've ever seen it. And if it breaks down, we're going to come down to those lower targets. That's just the way it goes. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news unless it's a rising triangle. But it's not ascending. See, an ascending triangle would have a flat resistance. This is not. This looks more like a rising wedge, actually. That means we're running out of steam. Weekly significantly oversold. Monthly's got to push down some ways probably. Daily, where we're sitting, pushing down. 4 hourly, getting down, but still got room to push down. So we're gonna meet over here somewhere, Mr. Stott, and make a decision at around 313. I think, but it's gonna take time. It's not just gonna happen today or tomorrow. It's gonna take time. But Tim Rain, Quant was listed today on Robinhood, so it's going to get a little artificial push-up. Oh, well, the fact it was listed on Robinhood, expected to come much lower than where it goes. Things that get listed on Robinhood have a history of just collapsing afterwards. H-bar. We've technically got this setup right here. It failed over the top, got rejected in the displacement zone, which was a very bad sign when it double topped. In my opinion, still, is if it breaks this down, you might come all the way back down to 7.8 cents. But there's a lot here. There's a lot that goes on here. It had a little bit of a channel that developed. 4 hourly's oversold. Daily got massively overbought. Still in the overbought. It did clear out a little bit before, but it's, now it's rotated back down. The weekly, nothing to be happy about. It's a bearish doji right now. Looks like we've had a couple spinning tops here, which are just bulls and bears are having a fight, but nobody can take control, and the trend continues to the direction it was. And since we're on the down tug, we have a confirmed now death cross, 20 cross the 50 or the 200 now with confirmation. Now we're waiting for the 100 and the 200, or the 50 and the 100 to cross there as well. But we do have a death cross set up unless invalidated, which is not a good sign. So that's actually happened. Question, will there be a portion of your EP? What do you mean by that? Only if we hit that support structure. I held my XRP from 2023 to 2025, waiting for that flag, to hit that top. And then I also bought more in 2024, and that July drop to 38 cents. That really changed the game for me. Allowed me to fix up my house and stuff, and the inside of my house, because it cost me $85,000 in 2025 to do my house updating on the inside. I had to pay a shitload in taxes, though. Let me tell you, the tax was not friendly from 2025 because we made significant gains. Unfortunately, my roof caved in. I had the insurance adjuster. Nice guy. I had the roofer here with him. And I had some, wood rot and stuff in one spot that we wouldn't have known about. It's been going on for a while. But part of it, no problem covering under insurance. The other one's going to have to be under the supplemental side of my insurance policy, so I don't know how much they'll cover, but the guy seemed like a good guy, and he's going out to get me the max he can. He's not trying to finesse it. I've had a lot of adjusters that were much less ethical than this guy, so I actually feel like we got lucky between him and my roofer that I found. I went through 5 different people before I found a roofer that wasn't trying to take advantage of the insurance company and actually had a little integrity. This guy was great. So I do my research. The best possible outcome, I left it in God's hands, and I continue to pray that the best resolution is going to happen. And, I believe it will. So, yeah, BSAN. I love holding XRP, just not in this time, because I don't like to give it back, and I'm not going to pay Ripple XRP for their business. I'm not going to be part of the 95% that loses. But yeah, that's the way I approach it. But yeah, BSAN, that's a great question. Just got home from dropping off the kids. Thank you for your daily dedication, my guy. Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I've seen you in here a lot lately. A lot. Oh, a long time ago, man. I was very clear about that. Long time ago. Long time ago. I had 20,000 or 25,000 tokens because I bought an extra $5,000 worth when it went to 38 cents or 38 and a half. That was sold at the 3 to 350 mark. The other 10,000, I kind of finessed it a little bit up and down, left and right. But yeah, now I'm only buying it back to do the swing trading, and I've been doing that through the futures. But yeah, BSAN, those $100 predictions and $1,000 predictions and things like that, that's what hurts retail. That's what hurts retail. But I promise you, I'm going to have them all back at some point. I'm just looking at that 86 cent level, and every time I feel like we can get a positive push up, I've been buying. Last time around with the push up, I was able to have 40,000 XRP through the futures market, and then I sold it, and it ended up being a couple $1,000 gain. But I'm trying to do this in a way because, like I said, I got to raise a lot of capital here, and I've been doing a good job, and every day I take it as its own. I'm not trying to do it all at once. I'm trying to do it over time. In the last several weeks, I know MQ's been down the same path. It's been very profitable, just in the last couple of weeks because it's given us a lot of real opportunity. But I'm looking at needing to build up about $20,000 to $30,000 for a worst case scenario. I built up about 7 over the last 4 weeks, 7,000, which some of it will be tax worthy, obviously. But I still got a long ways to go. But I'm not trying to do it all at once because that's when you get in trouble. So yeah, it's been a long journey. So everybody who's ever sent a super chat and things like that, you definitely help me out. Or the people that are in Tom's Army, the ones taking the classes, which we have 46 students. 5 students now are not even part of my social media. It's from word of mouth, which is crazy. We've had a great retention rate. Yeah, so it's been a blessing. And like I said, I'm going for my CPA or my CFA. I just got to get through the final sign up period. And that's going to be a certified financial advisor so that I have more opportunity to speak about. Because my main goal of being a CFA is so I can come on here and give financial advice. That's my main goal. Right now, I can't technically give financial advice. I'm not going for a CPA, a certified planner, a financial planner, CFP. I want to be an advisor. So that's going to take me 4 to 6 months to get through that certification. But I know I'm going to get through it. I know all about this. So, but it'll add to what I can do for the community. And that's going to take a little bit of dedication. I need to see how much it's eventually going to cost and things like that. But I'm trying to evolve myself in a way that you're not going to find anywhere else. I want to be legitimate for all of you so you can have that trust. B-San says, dude, that's amazing. If anyone can do it, you can do it, big dog. I appreciate that. So while I still have everybody's attention, because I want to go make sure my son's good. He's nonverbal. He's autistic, as you guys know. He was sick. He had an inner ear infection, and he was throwing up. And we got to keep formula down the last 2 days. No more anti-nausea medication today, and he's held 4 ounces down so far. And he's got a G-tube as well, which makes it interesting. But he goes through psychological trauma, too, from his accident and being forced with stuff down his mouth at the hospitals, which was not cool over the years. So now he's basically got the jaws of life on his jaw. He won't open it, swallow. And this is usually the last psychological phase before he goes back to eating some things and drinking by mouth. So, everyday people, first time here. I've held XRP for a little over 3 years, but it sounds as if you think Ripple is winning the long-term retail investor. Yes. That is my objective, but not because of what you think. It's not their job to make sure long-term holders profit year over year. What their job is to give us a product that we're proud of, to build a ledger, to build the Ripple net, to build their ecosystem with RWAs and things, to continue to advance how they're moving into the Ethereum L2 layering. Their job isn't to make sure that long-term holders are profitable. What I'm saying is I don't want to fund them by, I'm going to buy 3 years ago, and we're down in the 30-cent mark, and I'm not going to sell at 350, and I'm just going to ride it all the way back down. What they try to do is with these releases, with these dark pools, with these off-exchange supercomputers where they trade off-site, they do fund themselves by retail. Retail helps fund the project. I'm not saying I don't like Ripple. I love Ripple and XRP, and they're not intentionally doing this, but they're taking advantage of retail not understanding what's going on in cycles. It's not just XRP swindling. That's the entire game of crypto. They want the HODL mentality so that they can fund their projects by people just sitting there. But they also give us the breadcrumbs because I truly believe the central banks want the ones who are smart enough to follow the real info. They want them to succeed. They just know that there's a lot of stupid people out here and they like to have a laugh. That's my belief. In every walk of life, I believe they give us the breadcrumbs that if we're smart enough to follow, they give us opportunity to be part of the big guy. We may not have as much money as them, but I do believe that. Mr. Stott, thanks for the $19.99 super chat. Holy crap, is that generous. And also in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Stott. I really appreciate that. Couple more bucks for the cause. Thank you for your hard work and dedication and prayers for Liberty. Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. And I don't like to work for free, so I like to actually, I like to put in my time and then let the chips fall where they may. So I appreciate that pay it forward mentality. Thank you, Aurelie, for the prayers. I also want to say a quick prayer for Bearded Viking with Mighty Marcus as we continue while I'm here. We continue to pray for Bearded Viking. We ask for our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, in English terms. We beg for the guiding hand. So Mighty Marcus, who's fighting the good fight of C. I don't want to say the word because it's a scary word. We just want to make sure that he's blessed in a way to where he has the least amount of pain. And we have the best route for him to have his continued healing, and he can be with us as long as possible. And we continue to pray for that and the good spirit. We beg God for the clarity for Bearded Viking and his wife to have that salvation. And Bearded Viking's been working a lot, and his wife is going through a lot, especially obviously having to deal with her son, and it's not easy, both of their sons. And I deal with a lot of medical stuff as well from a different aspect, so I understand how hard and difficult it is. So, you know, we continue to pray for that. So amen. Amen. Carlos says, Heaven, and thanks for being in town over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. Heavenly Father, thank you for all you do and have done for this community. Please rest your healing hands over the Speaker family and heal little Tommy from the top of his head to the tips of his toes. Amen. Thank you for that kind prayer, my friend. I appreciate that. Elmer says, did you know onions will fix an ear infection? You can watch a video on... I've been watching a lot of Barbara O'Neill because of you. She's a fantastic lady. I love her holistic side of things. She literally is using the earth to our advantage. It's unbelievable, actually, what she's talked about. I've actually learned quite a bit. And it actually helped me solidify some things I thought were true. She's actually a wonderful lady, it seems. I've never met her, but obviously she seems like a real... genuine person too, like she has our interest at heart. Do you think in the long term the XRP thesis will happen? In which way, everyday people? I have my own thesis that I know will play out, but I don't know which thesis you're talking about. I know in the long term this thesis will play out, where we're going to get all the way up to that $6.41, but I also believe there's going to come a time where we go from $10 to $20, in my opinion. And that's going to be our big move. But I do know this thesis should play out. Unless this descending wedge breaks down, this thesis will play out, in my opinion. And it's been a great live. We're going to end it shortly. I got to go deal with my family stuff and things like that. I'm blessed that we were able to do an hour and 3 minutes. Michigan plays in the starting their first round today against Howard. So I'm looking forward to watching that tonight. If I have the ability, I'll come back tonight. I just don't know, because obviously my son's still getting through what he's dealing with. It's getting better each and every day, and your prayers are definitely helping. Absolutely, Elmer. Don't hesitate to keep talking about what she's anything that seems to correlate with what you need to, let me know about. I've been really inspired by hearing your talkings in the comments, to be honest. But everyday people, long term, I know my target's going to hit eventually. It's just we got to fill out, I think, this descending wedge. Now we can invalidate it if the wedge goes higher, but long term I have a lot of faith in XRP, a lot of faith. We're just building the railing right now. Yeah, I think at some point we're going to get that $10 to $20 push. What I think is going to happen, if I'm being honest with you, what's going to happen, in my opinion, we did this. We'll fill this out properly, whether it's 86 or 54 or whatever the case is. Once we bounce up, we'll probably do this and consolidate. But once we get up here, I believe this will be a big rejection zone, and then we'll come back down to the prior all-time high, and that's going to be what builds us out into the next area. So, but I've never targeted anything over the $10 to $20 range, and right now, that's not even in my view. The only thing I care about is this, and then this, out of this all-time cup and handle. And remember, when you put a descending wedge on the all-time cup as the handle, it's, in my opinion, obviously take it with a grain of salt because it's my opinion, I think that's the most bullish consolidation you could ever ask for on an all-time cup. And this all-time chart is a cup. And then the handle we put in, I think, is the most bullish. I don't own XPR right now. Oh, are you asking if it's on Kraken or if I bought it? I don't have anything in my spot bag right now, if I'm being honest. I've been purely swinging. And I've been swinging via the last couple of times because I wanted to just have one token. I did XDC, and on that move up, XDC made me about $1,400. I was up 6.9% in my portfolio. I took it down from 30 to 20. So that I could have some money in the bag for stuff I need to do. Um, but I built it back up a couple thousand to 22,000. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. In that way. But I'm being extremely honest with everybody. I know I don't have to be, but that's the only thing I know is honesty. No, I don't see it on Kraken yet. Unfortunately, XPR is not on Kraken yet. $5 within 2 years. Based on the setup, the apex of this sits in August of this year, so I think you should get your wish. I think that's fair. I think before 2028, we should get that over $5. I think that's really fair. You everyday people have a very good head on your shoulders. You're asking for the right thing. That is not out of the realm of possibility by a long shot. That's actually well within my range. And this is how we targeted the breakout, and it hit it on the nuts. We had this set up for many years, and then it broke out right when it was supposed to, and then it's formed these patterns. So, you know, we can obviously do the cup and handle now, as this isn't as relevant, but I don't like to change things after it happens because I have many charts. Then I have my little areas that we always talk about as well. So, but I'm going to end it here, guys. I got to go take care of my son. Thank you all so much for the support. I love the conversation. 82 people here at the end, 76 likes. This is all I could ask for. 80 people here during this live, especially in the bearish moments. We're up from 30 in the last cycle when we were bearish on average. And then when it gets into a bullish, we got 400, 500, 600 people in here when it was on that parabolic run, which will happen again. But remember, we don't make our money in the bull market. We lose money in the bull market if we buy. We make our money in the bearish cycles. So do yourself a favor. Bet on yourself. Doesn't mean you ever have to send me a red cent. Just keep me in your heart and soul if you ever do make a significant gain and join Tom's army. Maybe take the classes to understand the markets. It's deeper than just the charts. I'm building everybody up in the phases and things like that. So, what did Alex say? Alex, did you guys see that 30-minute after Quant became tradable on Robinhood, it dumped? Who called that? Who called that at the beginning of this live? Honestly. I called it about Robinhood. I said once it goes on, it's going to go up, and then it's just going to start dumping. That's what I was trying to say. Sounding and looking better, my friend. Oh, thank you, David. Yeah, I've definitely, if you guys know the difference in my transformation, some might not. If you started watching me in my beginning years, just by looking at me from, the best way I can show you is looking at my TikTok because it's Mario's is better. Because it's pinned. That's how I used to look back in 22. Quite the heftier fellow. But I've been taking my health very seriously. When I was a kid, I was 265 pounds, but I've been fasting for almost 4 years now, 16 hours a day. I really took my health very seriously. I've been lifting weights, and you know, I put on a significant amount of muscle. I don't take steroids, so it takes a long time, but I would never do that. So I've just been dedicating to myself and things like that. So yeah. But I don't try to lie, everybody. I try to tell you the truth, and things like that. So be blessed. I thank you all for all of your stuff. Like today was phenomenal. Today was phenomenal. What's going on here? Oh, 1090. Why isn't it showing this? I do have, that's the one thing that I still hold is that XRPNU because it's it still technically hasn't gone to where it's going. But anyhow, he's doing a little bit better today, Alec. We're getting through the psychological zone to try to get him to eat by mouth again, as he doesn't like to eat by mouth right after he's sick. But he's been able to hold this stuff through his G-tube the last like 30 hours. His fever's officially broke the last day and a half. He hasn't had anything to bring it down, so he's on the mend. He got stuff through his ears, and things are starting to look positive here. I don't think we're going to send him to school tomorrow. He's just going to take the week off. He very rarely misses school, and he hates missing school. When I told him I don't think you're going to school tomorrow, he started crying earlier today because he really loves going to school with his friends, and he's adapted very well. But yeah, be blessed, everybody. I encourage you to go to the Facebook page. At first I had more of a satanic page, but I actually went away from the satanic side of it, like the fake stuff, or now it's more like conspiracies with the facts and stuff. Because I was throwing some people off, so I decided to go away from that and reformat what I did. and just go through what's actually happening so that people can have a good faith in it. So you're not going to see any more of the fake writings and things like that. I stopped doing that weeks ago because it just doesn't help anybody. So now I'm just sharing real time stuff. I had to go through a period of consolidation where I stopped putting out content to reset this. And now over the last week or so, I've started to build this audience up in a big way. 87,000 views yesterday. I had one video that went over 1 million views over there and stuff like that. So, but I rebranded that whole thing. So now you don't have to worry about the nonsense. So have a good day, everybody. And I encourage